Hey, good morning, everybody. Brad here with the Big Family Homestead. Man, I hope that you're having a blessed day wherever and whenever you're watching this Bible study. Heads up on Krista, because I see that you guys, there's a few guys asking and well wishes for her. We did go to the hospital again yesterday, and she's still got a lot of pain in her leg, but the antibiotics are doing their thing. We are hopeful that we won't have to go, or that she won't have to go back on the drip antibiotics, but we have the follow up on Thursday, so we're just keeping an eye on it. Yeah, I get it. Wherever, got it. Just so funny. You're gonna have to step up your comedy game this morning. So yeah, we're just hoping that everything's going to be okay, but the follow-up is on Thursday, so we'll see. Also, what was the also? I don't know. Definitely prayers for all the people that are going through all these crazy storms. I mean, it's been nuts here. It's been windy and just like crazy, nasty gusts of wind here, but prayers for all the people down in Texas and where these tornadoes are blowing through. We're definitely going to keep you guys in prayer. So let's see. We're continuing on in our book of Esther. We're in chapter 2. And today, one of our heroes of the story, Mordecai, is coming. So you'll be able to cheer for Mordecai virtually in the chat. But let's scroll to the top and see who's here for at least the first page of folks that are in the chat. Let's see. Meg, good morning to you. Danny, Ask Hermit, Jean Marie, Steve Gnink, our resident tech genius who's giving people tips how to stay a little more cyber secure in our video over on Big Family Homestead. And I do want to, I've got a question for you later. I'm going to try and track you down, man. So anyway, Sally H, good morning to Heidi, Adele, Where Family Jess, good morning to Alicia, Kurt, and the Happy Meat Farm Rios, Jesus is Lord, the Bulletproof Pastor. Good morning to Thomas Pearson III, Tanya, Eileen, Phoebe, Playing with Jen, and many, many, many more. Good morning to you all. All right. So we continue on in the awesome adventure story of Esther. Now, there are some things that as I was thinking about our Bible Devo yesterday, there's a couple things that I wanted to point out. Somebody made a comment, and I want to say it might have been Martha, Blessed and Sanctified, and I wanted to comment on it. If it's not you, then forgive me for remembering it wrong. But the comment, paraphrased, was something to the effect that Esther saved the Jewish people and in turn saved us all, because if the Jewish people had been wiped out, then there would be no Jesus, right? Prophecies could not have been fulfilled, and then Jesus would not have come. Well, I want to clarify something. We did talk about this yesterday, but maybe just didn't catch it. Or if it wasn't even Mary, it might not have been Mary or Martha. Sorry, Mary or Martha. Get it? But Esther and her family, Mordecai, they lived in Susa, which is in Persia, and there was a pocket of the Jews. A lot of Jews were dispersed all over the whole Middle Eastern world there. And a lot of them went back to Jerusalem. So had they been wiped out of Persia, it's probably unlikely that they would have all been wiped out. Yes, it would have been bad. I'm not trying to diminish that. It would have been horrible, but it would not have been a kind of thing where it would have been likely that there would have been people who had escaped. Just saying that. They were a remnant. There would have, bulletproof, yeah. He's saying God always keeps some remnant. Some Hebrews remained in the land. Yeah, true. So I just wanted to point that out. It would have been bad. It would have been devastating, but it would not probably have been everybody. So anyway, there you have that. It was sticking in my brain. Wanted to make sure I mentioned something. All right, here we go. Chapter 2. Now, since we're doing virtual Purim, whenever Mordecai's name is mentioned, you got to cheer. Like give a thumbs up or some kind of you guys do those emojis or a cheering emoji or a yay or something, so that then we can make it a little more fun. All right, here we go. And I'm not going to say the king's name wrong again. I'm just going with Xerxes. So if you want to say the king's name, Ahasuerus, you can say it however you want. So there you go. Chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the anger of the king Xerxes had abated, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's young men who attended him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought out for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all provinces of the kingdom to gather all the beautiful young virgins to the harem in Susa, the citadel, under the custody of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women. Let their cosmetics be given to them. Let the young women who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This pleased the king, and he did so. Now there was a Jew in Susa, the citadel, whose name was Mordecai. Yay, the crowd goes wild. Son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite. That's going to come back into play here. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem among the captives, carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away. He was bringing up Hadassah, that is, Esther, the daughter of his uncle, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman had a beautiful figure and was lovely to look at. And when her father and her mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. So when the king's order and edict were proclaimed, and many young women were gathered in Susa, the citadel, in custody of Haggai, Esther was also taken into the king's palace and put into the custody of Haggai, who was in charge of the women. And the young woman pleased him and won his favor. And he quickly provided her with her cosmetics and her portion of food, and with seven chosen young women from the king's palace, and advanced her and her young women to be the best in the harem. Esther had not made known to her. Esther had not made known her people. Doggone it, I need new glasses. Or her kindred, for Mordecai had commanded her not to make it known. And every day Mordecai went and walked in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was and what was happening to her. Now, when the turn came for each young woman to go in to King Xerxes, after being 12 months under regulations for women, since this was regular period for their beautifying, 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 months with spices and ointments for women. When the young woman was in to the king in this way, she was given whatever she desired to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she would go in, and in the morning she would return to the second harem in custody of Shazgaz. That's quite a name there. The king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She would not go into the king again unless the king delighted in her, and she was summoned by name. When the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his own daughter to go into the king, she asked for nothing except what Hegai, the king's eunuch who had been in charge of the women, advised. Now Esther was winning favor in the eyes of all who saw her. And when Esther was taken to the king, Xerxes, into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign, the king loved Esther more than all the women, and she won grace and favor in his sight more than all the other virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king gave a great feast for all his officials and servants. It was Esther's feast. He also granted a remission of taxes to the provinces and gave gifts with royal generosity. Verse 19. Now when the virgins were gathered together the second time, Mordecai was sitting in the king's gate. Esther had not made known her kindred of her people as Mordecai commanded her. For Esther obeyed Mordecai just as when she was brought up by him. In those days, as Mordecai was sitting in the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who had guarded the threshold, became angry and sought to lay hands on King Xerxes. And this came to the knowledge of Mordecai, and he told it to Queen Esther, and Esther told the king in the name of Mordecai. When the affair was investigated and found to be so, the men were both hanged on the gallows, and it was recorded in the book of Chronicles in the presence of the king. There we go. Okay. The story is now set. The plot will thicken, but not as of yet. Okay? Let's unpack some things. Okay. All right. A lot of this is what you see is what you get, guys. This is a lot of that, the WYSIWYG stuff. What you see is what you get. Because it's a recounting of what happened. There are some things that we should probably just take note of and dig a little bit deeper, and we're gonna see if we can find a couple of those right now. Bulletproof Pastor, I agree with you, man. I've seen folks like that too. Absolutely. All right. Verse 2. Or verse 3, verse 2. So they decide to, because the king is down in the dumps, he had to put Queen Vashti away. She publicly humiliated him in front of everybody. So she had to go. But now the guy's down in the dumps. What's a king without a queen? He needs a queen. And so all these inner circle of eunuchs and young men who surround him concoct this plan. You know what? Let's search the land. Let's find the best of the best of the best. And then you bring them here, and we're going to go ahead and beautify these girls like you can't even imagine. We're going to do oils, and we're going to do spices, and we're going to do makeup even. Holy mackerel. We're going to beautify them all, and then you're going to get to pick. Wow. What a deal, huh? So what I wrote down is round them up and get them looking pretty. Round them up. So now Mordecai, now if I say Mordecai, you don't have to cheer. It's only when scripture happens. Unless you're just overcome with joy for how God provided for these people. Okay, now, so Mordecai jumps into the scene because he's an official. He's an official who was in government there in Persia. He had been taken away by the Babylonians when they took over and war, right? When they took over, Mordecai was one of the ones who was dragged off. And he was dragged off, but then the Persians beat the Babylonians, and therefore it was typical that they would keep the best and brightest, and then they would incorporate them into their world. Why would you want to that would be kind of like, well, actually, here's a really here's an example. Let's say at the end of World War II, how in the heck did we get our NASA program started so fast and so successfully? Who can tell me what happened at the end of World War II? That would be very oddly similar to what happened to Mordecai. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because it's pretty contemporary. That it's nothing new. This stuff happens all the time. So somebody wins a war. They take the best and brightest, they drag them off, and they bring them into their own service, right? Who can tell me what? Just basic history stuff. Werner von Braun, Yahtzee, says Brad to the Bulletproof Pastor. At the end of World War II, well, no. At the end of World War II, it wasn't the Russians, Eileen. At the end of World War II, the United States and Russia realized that when the Nazis were crumbling, if we quickly went in and grabbed all these Nazi scientists and these guys who were working on rocket development, Werner von Braun, and a whole team of them, they went in and got a bunch of people. The Germans grabbed some people, and we grabbed some people, totally like Kidnap City, Project Paperclip. Yeah, part of it, yeah. And there's a lot of it. And they became NASA. That's how we got into space successfully, quickly. It's no different, guys. It's no different. Okay. Yeah, so that's how we did. So it's common. It's common for, this country wins. They take the best and brightest and they incorporate them into their people. That's what happened with Mordecai. Okay. So he was one of their best and brightest. The Babylonians took him. Then when the Babylonians got taken, the Persians took him. So an interesting thing about Mordecai is that he was a descendant. Anybody famous that he might have been a descendant of? This is not like common knowledge. You would have to have like a study Bible probably, or an incredible memory to know this. But that is this. He was a descendant of King Saul directly. He's in the line of Saul, pre-David, right before David, King Saul. So now, interesting thing here in verse 10, Mordecai instructs Esther, don't tell people you're a Jew. And she does it. It's told in this chapter, it's told to us more than once that she was instructed by Mordecai, commanded her, even as in verse 20 as well. Don't tell people you're a Jew. And boy, oh boy, it comes in handy later. So now, here's an interesting thing. Okay, I want to see what you guys think about this, because I have heard all kinds of theories when it comes to this business of the women going in to see the king, or it says here, when the women went in to the king in this way, she was given whatever she desired to take with her from her harem. In the evening she would go in, and in the morning she would return to the second harem in custody of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch. Okay, and she would not go in to the king again unless the king delighted in her, and she was summoned by name. Okay, so if you're a child, plug your ears. Or if you're a parent, plug your child's ears. Because we're talking about adult stuff. You've got a warning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. because we're talking about adult stuff. And if you don't want your kid to hear it, then it's on you now. All right. So are we talking about basically that these women would go in and participate in relations, let's say? Because I don't see that. And I'll tell you why I don't see that. Because over here in verse 17, it says, the king loved Esther more than all the women, and she won grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Now, first things first, that implies that she was still a virgin. She was counted as one of them in this thought. Grace and favor in his sight more than all the other virgins, meaning they are all in one, okay? They're all in one. So what were they doing? Were they playing Yahtzee? I mean, honestly, they go in and then they come out and go to a different harem? I mean, was he just, why don't you sit over there while I don't do anything, right? He's the most powerful dude in the world in this point here of history. He could do whatever he wanted. I don't know how to interpret this, to be honest, because of this phrase here that it's implied that they were all still virgins. So I don't know. You guys can go ahead and you guys can decide what you want to decide by that, but I'm just wondering. Yeah, Esther could read to the king. Sure. I'm thinking they were not playing Yahtzee, says Crystal. Okay, but then it implies here that they were all still virgins. So I don't know. I'm interested. So there's one I don't know what to think, to be honest. I don't know what to think. Yeah, after being with the king. Okay, so you're implying that word with might be relations. They went into a concubine group. I know, isn't that weird? A free back rub with every encounter. Esther did a little dance. Come on. Maybe they were just talking. Right. You know, I mean, okay, let's just set the stage here, people. Let's set the stage here. If you are King Xerxes, the most powerful man in the world in this region at this time, and you're not a believer in God, you're not. You're not. He wasn't. They were all about polytheism, right? They had gods for everything. Let's shave you up a new god for this. Let's somebody get some, silver or gold and dunk this wooden thing in there. Now, poof, I got another god. They were into polytheism. So the question I have is, okay, so for a year, this man who is not a believer has no moral core the same way that we do. For a year, he's going to have the most beautiful women come into his room at night and nothing's going to happen. Come on now. Maybe I'm naive, but that seems a little odd. But then again, why would the verbiage be there that says they were still virgins? I don't know. Okay, Bulletproof, here's his opinion. The king communed with all the virgins, even if their status changed after that visit. Okay, well, here it's showing that the status virgin stayed after the girls had hung out in the evening with the king. So I don't know if I can go that way, bro. I don't know. What if the virgins got pregnant? I don't think they'd call them virgins anymore. Maybe the king was looking for virtues, okay? He was probably sorting them based on their responses, possibly. I'm sorry, but I don't believe Esther did anything bad. Okay. I'm saying right here that it does say that they're still listed as virgins, right? So if that's the case, that's interesting. That's an interesting point, Southern Prairie Homestead. One reason for the lengthy time of preparation was to tell if the women had been pregnant upon coming into the harem. Good point. So then the king would not be charged with fathering a child that was not his. And Southern Prairie Homestead, I would like to add to that, then there would be challenges to the throne. There would be unnecessary infighting, bloodshed. Politics always equals blood eventually. Maybe the king had low T. His testosterone was very low. That's funny. Oh, boy. Could there have been a different meaning for virgins in those days, Kurt? Not in this translation. Not in this translation. Not in this translation. So, okay, you guys, I don't think. Okay, let me just pause here because I don't want people to feel like I'm saying something negative about Esther, because I'm not. I'm saying that it does list here, or it does give you the idea that even after she had hung out with the king, come to my chambers, we'll have some toast and play Yahtzee. And then after that, she was still listed as a virgin, at least in this thought that says so right here. So that said, I'm not gonna go either way with that, because if the king did ask Esther to do something, then it would have been out of her control to say no. So I wouldn't blame her. If she's, think about this. If you're in her position and you're in that spot and the king demands you do something, you have two choices: death or you do it. So it would have been the same thing as rape in my mind. If he made her do something that was against her will. So I don't look at Esther negatively. Either way you cut the cake. Let's say that she was never asked to do anything wrong. Okay, then good. But on the other hand, if she was asked to do something wrong, it still would have been out of her control and therefore not her fault. So either way, I look at this as Esther did nothing wrong. Either way. And let's just hope that the king did something right. Bulletproof, you're implying that you could take that either way. But it also doesn't say she wasn't or was. Either way. Yeah. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is I don't think that this points to her character being good, bad, or indifferent. I think that they're just saying here's what happened. And let's just hope the king was a good guy. We don't know. We don't know. Let's believe in faith that Esther was every bit of a solid character, as we see later. You know what I'm saying? as we see later, she was absolutely rock solid, true character. So we don't really have a reason to believe that she would have bad moral character. We don't. But you know what? I fall and I fail. I'm broken and I sin. Esther was a woman just like many of you are, or men. You know, we're all people and we all sin, but that's not the point here. The point here is we just don't know. So let's go ahead and hope that it was the right thing, period. Because we can't see that there's evidence of a wrong thing. It's only assumption. It's only assumption. So, holy mackerel. I thought today was going to be an early one, but we're already past 9. Leave it to those crazy eunuchs to start slapping makeup on all these virgins. Nothing good will come of it. All right. Well, the story picks up. The story picks up from here. It gets even more exciting. And let's pray and get on with our Tuesday. All right. Yeah, certainly Esther would have had no choice. Either way you cut it. So let's just hope that she did the right thing. And I don't see a reason to believe she did. This discourse, these comments, your word, help us to dig in and to truly, truly seek your heart through every word, every phrase, every page. Help us to seek you. And Lord, thank you. Thank you so much for all you do for us. We love you, Jesus. Amen. Alrighty, guys. Have an awesome, awesome, and blessed day. Hopefully see you back tomorrow, right? All right. Bye. Forever, let me take refuge under the shelter of your wings. For you, O God, have heard my vows. You have given me the heritage of those who fear your name. Prolong the life of the King. May his years endure to all generations. Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. May he be enthroned forever before God. Appoint steadfast love and faithfulness to watch over him, so I will ever sing praises to your name as I perform my vows day after day. Prolong the life of the King. May his years endure to all generations. Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you
enemy. So will I ever sing praises to your name, as I perform my vows day after day. Hear my cry, oh God, listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. Hear my cry, oh God, listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. Hear my cry, oh God, listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. cry, oh God, listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I come to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. May he be enthroned forever before God. Appoint steadfast love and faithfulness to watch over him, so I will ever sing praises to your name as I perform my vows. Hear my cry, oh God. Listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. So will I ever sing praises to your name, as I perform my vows day after day. Hear my cry, oh God. Listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower